Hi, welcome to Mound House. Come over here and I'll tell you about what we're doing. This is the Mound House site. It's a large floodplain mound site here in Greene County, next to the main channel of the Illinois River. You notice that there's this broad sand ridge that we're on. Now out here we have one large mound, the remnants of a second mound that was probably truncated and pushed into the levee fill, and a third mound that was out there. Right now our excavations are focusing on this flatter area, this habitation area where people used to gather for ceremonies and other activities that they might have conducted when the mounds were in use. So why don't we go over here and we can go look at the mound and I can tell you about our excavations there, and we'll come back and look at the work we're doing now. We walk around here and I'll show you where some of the other excavations where you get a sense of actually how big Mound 1 is and its sort of outside dimensions. You can see it's much higher over here, and you get a real sense of how it curves around, and you have this, you might call a built landscape, this large monument. And we've had excavation units all through here, and this is where we exposed those sand surfaces and the post molds. And of course, quite a bit of overburden around where the tree is from the west, a little bit east. There's quite a bit of overburden over that as well. But out here then is where the sand surface and post mold structure would have been prior to the addition of other sorts of fill. One of the three stated goals of the Center for American Archaeology is stewardship of the archaeological record. As part of that, the Center for American Archaeology purchased the Mound House site. As you can see here, this area that's no longer being cultivated. So we're able to protect it from additional incursions from agricultural development. You can see agriculture being an important part of this area. And historically, this area was farmed actively. And part of that is why Mound House gets its name, is because there actually used to be a house on top of Mound 1. Fortunately for us, that there was no basement or subsurface structures associated with house, so we don't think the mound was actually heavily impacted in that sense. As I mentioned before, there's a second mound here on the east side of the levee, right about out there. That's Mound 2. Mound 2, unfortunately, has been lost both to agriculture and probably levee construction during the early 1900s. You can see the large levee that runs along the western margin of the site. Though it appears that Mound 2 visually is entirely gone, our excavation has shown there's actually quite a bit of the basal structures of Mound 2. So there's about 60 to 75 centimeters left of the base of it, which can tell us quite a bit about the horizontal organization, even though the vertical organization is lost. Let's go over here and see how they're doing with their excavation today. They've been digging this feature for a couple days now, and it should have some interesting results now. They should almost be finished excavating to the bottom of it. So here are some materials that we've collected here from Mound House from these excavation units we have this year. We found, as I mentioned before, we have the very large pit over there and another smaller feature here. And we found a wide variety of artifacts and debris. We talked about the faunal elements before, and we have mussel shells, bits of deer bone. In fact, some of these have cut marks on them there where they were processed. Various small fragments of deer bone, fish bone, and some bird bone as well. You see the cut marks on there. Mandibles of small animals. We've also found in different kinds of what we call lithic items or stone tools, including this hoe that you notice the shiny area here is silica polish from use. We have, of course, some of everyone's favorites, the stone points. This is a middle woodland variety. And then lamellar blades. This one happens to be out of an extra local stone that was brought possibly from Ohio, based on our comparison to this with our comparative collections. But these lamellar blades, which are long, narrow blades of chert as a basic raw material for making tools, with additional flake scars off it where other flakes came off, are indicative of the Middle Woodland period. So this is one of the artifacts that we found here at the Mound House site and in one of our excavation units from this year, square 609 that we looked at earlier with the large pit feature. And when we found this, originally what caught the excavator's eye was there was a large number of small fish bones that were, say, over the surface of this. And as we excavated, we realized that there was this large ceramic, this vessel base. So this would have been a large pot. And there's a vessel base below the fish bones. The fish bone were actually sitting inside of this when we found it. So this would have been a storage vessel of some kind during the Middle Woodland period. This rock ring, this is what we'd call a pike vessel. This rock ring, you see where there's zigzag sort of thing design where people used a shell to create that and kind of walked it across, is sort of indicative of Middle Woodland period ceramics, as are all of these. This is another variety, see with the nodes or little bumps here. And this is one that's a little finer, but you can see again that zigzag rockered appearance. So these are the basic varieties of artifacts and faunal debris that we find out here at Mound House and that we continue to find throughout the summer. Why don't we go check out, before we go, how they're proceeding over at square 610, and as we move our way out. How's this going?
It's going pretty well. We've gotten almost to level in Area A, which is our main feature area.
Good. That looks good. What kind of stuff is coming out of that?
Well, out of here we're seeing a little bit of the pottery that I see you guys were looking at over there, as well a bit of limestone, some either natural rock or other type of lithics. And then we have a little bit of bone coming in right here that'll probably be coming up through the floor.
Oh, be careful when you're in that area. Yesterday I found a piece of worked faunal material right about there where the limestone is, and it was very fragile. So you want to be careful as you excavate through that soil so that it's not, damaged. It's very friable.
Right, okay.
Great, looks really good. Good job. So this window into the site is just one step in a long process of interpreting what we found.